Hello, 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 and welcome back. For the first time in a very long time, Tier List Thursday is back and better than ever. We are starting the ranking of every single Pokemon, all of them. Today we're going to go through the original 151, and yeah, but also. Before I move on, in other news, mark your calendars. July the 23rd, Donkey Kong Bonanza playthrough starts. That is when my capture card is coming in the mail, so that is when I am going to do it. I'm super hyped. I may or may not have already been spoiled about the appearance of a certain monarch, you could say. A certain cold-blooded creature, you might say? Who knows? But even then, even without that, I was super excited. I was probably going to get it. And I've decided to bite the bullet. We're going to call it a business expense. I'm going to set up a donation. No, I'm not. I'm not going to set up a donation thing for that. Maybe I should, though. Maybe I should. I don't know. I probably won't. Sounds like a lot of work. So I don't know, maybe if we can get to 25 followers and 3 watchers per stream in the next week, then we'll do it. But otherwise, that won't happen. But yeah, without further ado, here we go. And also, since this isn't like a music tier list, I am just going to go ahead and throw some music on real quick. So don't mind me. Just stare at the tier list for a second while I look for some music. Got Pokemon lo-fi beats. A calm day in Pokemon, relaxing Pokemon game music. But that's not 24 hours. Could I just get like a 24/7 Pokemon playlist? How long do we think this is going to go on? It probably won't go on that long, right? It's just 151 Pokemon. It's not like I'm going to have too much to say about all of them. I'll do this 10-hour one. This nostalgic vibes, 10 hours of relaxing Pokemon music to help you study sleep. Hopefully it also helps me tier. Well, let's do it. Hopefully. Okay. Is the Gyarados gonna... You can't see on stream, but the YouTube video has the red Gyarados. Okay, it's not going to make sound. It made sound once. I thought it was going to make sound the entire time, but it is not going to. Fantastic. Perfect. So, without further ado, let's get into the rankings. And the way this is going to work is I have Pokemon Database, My Beloved, opened up on another tab, and I'm gonna look through it. I'm not like a big stats guy, so the stats aren't that important to me. I'm gonna look through it. I'm gonna look at some dex entries, and we'll see, and whatever else, and we'll see what I think. But I already have an opinion on most of these Pokemon, so let's see. Bulbasaur. Okay, so that's, so all of this stuff does not matter. Or it is based on a frog toad with the bulb resembling a plant bulb that grows into a flower as it evolves. Strange seed was planted on its back at its birth. The plant sprouts and grows with this Pokemon. Okay. You know what? I'm not gonna do this. This is gonna be a boring stream if I'm just reading the entire time, and I don't want to read out loud. So yeah, Bulbasaur. I'm gonna give Bulbasaur a solid A. I like Bulbasaur. I've never disliked Bulbasaur, but you'll find out throughout the stream, I'm not like a huge Squimly Gimli starter fan, you know? The starters have to like do something special for me to really like them. Just because you were my first Pokemon does not mean I am going to give you special treatment. That is not how that works. But Ivysaur, on the other hand, Ivysaur, I love Ivysaur, and it is entirely because of Smash Bros. But Ivysaur, the hitboxes are so jank for no reason. It is hilarious. I love Ivysaur. It's so funny. And then Venusaur. I think I'm gonna put Venusaur at a solid B. Venusaur, I like the idea of the line where it's like a flower slowly sprouting on the back of this like frog dinosaur thing. But let's keep it real. Venusaur is kind of fugly. Although, you know what, I'll bump it up to just below Bulbasaur for being absolutely overpowered. Like, it is far and away the best starter in Gen 1 if you're just going off stats. Again, stats aren't like a major contribution to the tiers or whatever, but if I feel like it's important to mention, I'll talk about the stats. So, and then the duplicates of Venusaur. Another thing, I'm not gonna count like the Mega Forms, or the G-Max forms, because I don't know, I just am not gonna have a lot to say about them. Some of them are really cool, some of them I even like better than the original mod, but it's pedantic to go over them all, so I'm not going to. Now, Charmander. I really like Charmander. I think an A is solid for Charmander. I think, like, the fact that if the tail goes out, he just dies, that's crazy work, and I dig it. I remember, I think the Charmander episode of the anime is one of the few I've watched. I've not watched a lot of the anime. I watched maybe, like, between 5 and 10 episodes of every series up to Black and White. But pretty much just whatever like came on Cartoon Network at the time. So Charmeleon. I'm gonna give Charmeleon a C. I think Charmeleon is kind of just like ugly middle stage personified. He's not cool like Charmander, and he's not cute like Charmander, and he's not cool like Charizard. He's just kind of lame. I have never been like a big Charmeleon fan, and his design doesn't really do anything. He's just kind of Charmander with a little horn on the back of his head and dark red, and he looks like a Digimon. So Charmeleon's a B or a C. Then G-Max in the Megas. Charizard. Most glazed Pokemon in history, but he's glazed for a reason. He is glazed for he's glazed for a reason. He's just cool. Charizard is just cool, okay? He's a big dragon with fire on his tail, and he does flamethrower. That's cool. That's cool. In the anime, he's like one of Ash's most strongest Pokemon. Most strongest. He's awesome. He's an awesome guy. There is a reason he is glazed. He shouldn't be glazed more than Ivysaur though, because Ivysaur is funnier in Smash. Squirtle! I would say Squirtle is probably the weakest of the starters for me, because each of them kind of have something going on that's like pertains to their element, right? You know, Bulbasaur's got the bulb, Charmander's got the flame, Squirtle's just the turtle. He's just a blue turtle, bro. Like, he just doesn't do it for me. You know, he's cute. I can't hate him. Can't bring myself to hate him, but I can't bring myself to love him either. Wartortle. I actually quite like Wartortle. I can kind of see, I think he's a B2 though. I can kind of see how people would compare him to Charmeleon in kind of that ugly middle stage type of deal, but I think he does enough to separate himself. He maybe should have had like a couple little cannons forming, but I'm fine with it. I dig him. He's cool. Then get rid of the alternate Blastoises. Blastoise is an S. Blastoise is easily my favorite starter from Gen 1. I love him. He's so cool. The idea of a turtle who has like artillery cannons in his shell, that's so cool. I love Blastoise. He's awesome. And for the record, I do like Mega Blastoise more. Also, for the record, of course, I like Mega Charizard X more. But let's face it, Mega Charizard X is awesome. Caterpie. Now this is gonna be crazy, but I'm gonna explain my reasoning because it's gonna sound pretty wild. Caterpie is an A+ over Charizard even, and the reason I say that about Caterpie is because to me, Caterpie kind of like symbolizes everything that Pokemon is supposed to be. You know? Pokemon is, like, as described by the series head, the series developer, the series creator, Pokemon is supposed to kind of emulate that feeling of going into your backyard and catching bugs. And Caterpie does that for me. He perfectly symbolizes that aspect of Pokemon for me. So, for that reason, Caterpie gets to go an A+. Metapod. Put it there. The only time the Metapod Harden joke has been funny is that one episode of the anime with the Metapod battle. After that, the joke became unfunny. So, yeah. That's really all I have to say about Metapod. A lot of these like middle stage bug evolutions are just gonna go right in B tier because it's like it's an interesting idea representing the, you know, the stage of the Pokemon where it's like, or the stage of the real life animal where it's like in the middle. Thank you, King Adi 749. Big preach on the follow. But the middle bug evolutions, they're kind of just, it's a novel concept to represent like the phase of the bug where it's going from a worm to a flying critter, whatever. But doing it over and over for every single bug to ever exist ever, it's a little boring, not gonna lie. Like, you'll see later on down the line, I really appreciate some of a specific Gen 5 Mon for kind of doing something a little different besides just, it's another Cocoon Pokemon that learns Harden. Laugh! Laugh at the Harden! Harden's the funniest move in the game! But, oh well. Oh, hold on. There. I'm gonna check something real quick. Okay. All good. Sorry about that. I was just making sure my chat's working. So, Butterfree. A duplicate Butterfrees. Get him out of here. I do like G-Max Butterfree, though. The Mothra reference is sick. Butterfree. I'd say right about here with Caterpie. I quite like Butterfree, you know? Mention of Butterfree come home. That was a good, or Butterfree leaving in the anime. Good episode. But I just like Butterfree. I think he's a cool little guy, you know? Kind of just a butterfly. There's not really much else to say about him beyond, yeah, that sure is a butterfly. Although, I can give some color commentary here. There's a common theory kind of around the Pokemon space that Butterfree and Venomoth swapped at some point in time. And by that, I mean, if you look at Venonat, which she's down here, if you look at Venonat, or you can't see that, if you look at Venonat and look at his eyes and mouth and compare it to Butterfree's eyes and mouth, it looks the exact same. And then if you look at Venomoth's eyes and mouth and you compare it to Caterpie and Metapod, they also look similar. So there's a theory that Venomoth and Butterfree swapped at some point in development, which is an interesting theory for sure, and one that I wouldn't doubt if it happened, I suppose. Stranger things have happened, that is for sure. Then Weedle. Similar story to Caterpie, but I think lesser, you know? It's more so just of the victim of Caterpie came first, you know? I hold nothing against Weedle besides that. But when it comes to symbolizing what Pokemon's all about, Caterpie kind of came first, therefore. And what else can I say besides that? Now, Kakuna! I actually do like Kakuna more than Metapod. Actually, I'm even gonna bump it up to A. And it's purely for nostalgia reasons. I distinctly remember having a Kakuna Pokemon card when I was a kid, and I thought it was cool. So that is like the one reason Kakuna's bumped up to A over Metapod. Otherwise, the haha funny hardened Cocoon stage. Beedrill though, Beedrill is an S tier Pokemon, is an S plus tier Pokemon. I love Beedrill. Beedrill is awesome. He's so cool, and it's such a simple design too. He's literally just like a Yellow Jacket, but the twin drill arms are such a cool design. That's so sick. I love that design. So therefore Beedrill gets to be an S plus because he's just the GOAT. Now Pidgey. Pidgey's another one that's kind of like Caterpie in my mind, where it symbolizes what Pokemon really is. So I'm gonna give Pidgey top of A. Beyond that, Pidgey is just a pigeon, or not even a pigeon. It's a sparrow, right? It's something along. You know what? Okay. Pidgey. Pokemon. We're gonna look this up. Live research time. That's the wrong. I don't like Bulba Garden. Pokemon database, my beloved. Where's the? No? You're not gonna give me the little blurb about what it's based off of? Okay. Thanks, I guess. I guess I will go to Bulba Garden then. Whatever, man. Oh. What are you based off of? Okay, well, I can't find it. I'm pretty sure it's like a sparrow, though. But I like Pidgey. Pidgey's cool. Now, Pidgeotto. This is Pidgeotto, not Pidgeot. I get them confused all the time. Pidgeotto doesn't really do it for me, if I'm being honest. I think probably C. It's just kind of the middle stage, and it doesn't really do a lot. As a matter of fact, honestly, Pidgeot doesn't really do it for me either. And I think the problem with it is that, like, It's the same problem that's present with a few Gen 1 Pokemon, which is that they're just the animal and nothing really changes. But for this, it's like worse because they're just bigger Pidgeys. You know? Cool, I guess. There are other flying types though, so those are cooler by association. Now Rattata. Controversial, Rattata's an S tier. I think Fear Strats are just really funny. So therefore I like Rattata. That being said, if you don't like Fear Strats, I can totally understand Rattata not being as cool, which is fine. I just find Fear Strats funny. Although honestly, I don't know if they're funny enough. Ivysaur is funnier. Ivysaur's busted ass hitboxes in Smash are funnier than Fear Strats. Now, Alolan, I am gonna do the Alolan forms because I feel like I have something to say about those. Alolan Rattata's, it's fine. It's kind of just a black Rattata. Whatever, I guess. The mustache is cool, I suppose. Raticate. Raticate died, therefore S+. No, I'm just kidding. Raticate's alright, I guess. Yeah. Again, it's just kind of a big rat, and a lot of the Route 1 normal types never really do it for me, and Raticate's definitely one of those Route 1 normal types. So, whatever, I guess. Then Alolan Raticate. I don't like Alolan Raticate, I'm gonna be honest. I think Alolan Raticate's kind of fugly. He's not the worst thing in the world, I guess. There are definitely worse Alolan Pokemon. But Raticate is... he's just fugly. I don't like how... It actually, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, it may actually be childhood trauma, because I no joke, when I was a kid, saw like one of these little river rats, which that's what the Alolan Rattata Raticates are based off of. They're based off these like little river rats. And I saw like a big river rat eat a baby duck at the park one time when I was a kid. It was traumatizing. I was not a fan of that experience. So, there's the secret. I'm actually just traumatized by Raticate. Now, Spearow? Yeah, Spearow. I don't know why. I wanted to say Fearow, and I was like, I knew that was wrong. Spearow is just Pidgey, but worse. I'm not gonna lie. It is doing like the exact same thing Pidgey is trying to do, so it really just does not stand out for me at all. And yeah, that's really all I have to say for it. It is a completely forgettable Pokemon. As we keep going through Gen 1, I'm gonna shrink the screen down a little so we can see the first line at least. There we go. As we go through Gen 1, there's gonna be a lot of Pokemon that I'm gonna call like pretty forgettable. I think this is just a problem with Gen 1 being the first game, and that a lot of these Pokemon are just directly animals. So, yeah. Spearow's definitely suffering that. Fearow, on the other hand, I actually quite like Fearow. I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be based off of. I think it's something along the lines of like a vulture or a buzzard. But I think it's pretty cool. And at the very least, it's way more memorable than Spearow. Ekans. Did you know that Ekans is snake spelled backwards, and that Arbok is cobra spelled backwards? Oh my god, guys, can you believe it? So, otherwise, Ekans is just kind of a B tier. It was a Team Rocket Pokemon, so at the very least it has that going for it. I do at the very least have fond memories of all of like Jesse and James's Pokemon. At least Jesse and James's Pokemon like through Gen 5, because obviously I did not watch Gen 6 and beyond because I don't know. Maybe I should do that one day, is watch through the Pokemon series, but I've got so many other anime I have to get through. I'm still trying to get through Dragon Ball. Not quite like Ekans. And of course, and being Jesse's Pokemon gives Ekans. I already said that. Team Rocket, cool. End of story. Arbok. Oh, also another thing about Ekans before I do Arbok. It is really funny how in like some of the pretty much all of the 3D games where you can let the Pokemon follow you, Ekans just stays coiled up and just moves. It's so funny to me, especially when people do edits of it and do like the brick moving sound. Like, hold on, let me find it real quick. Pause music. Brick moving sound effect. Yes. That sound effect. when they do that sound effect, with Ekans moving in some of the newer games, it's hilarious to me. Arbok. I'm gonna give Arbok an A. I like Arbok more than Kakuna. This is just Snake, therefore. I like snakes. I'm a snake guy. So I just inherently kind of like Arbok. Of course, Arbok was a Team Rocket Pokemon, so I fuck with it. I don't really have much to say beyond that. Oh yeah, the faces. It doesn't have them on this tier list, but fun fact about Arbok, you can always tell what region an Arbok is from based off the patterns on the hood off of its hood, because the pattern changes with each generation. Fun fact. So, Pikachu. How does one rank Pikachu? A true question for the ages. I'm just going to slap it in B. Say that I miss Fat Pikachu and move on. No, I mean, you know, I'll give it a little more than that. Pikachu is iconic. It's the mascot of the series. Your 95-year-old grandmother knows who Pikachu is. He is that much of a big deal. But on that same token, Pikachu's never really, like, done it for me. It's just an electric mouse. It just is the electric mouse Pokemon, you know? And maybe it's because I'm a contrarian and I think, mascot's bad. I want new Pokemon. Give me Pokemon that aren't mascots. But, I mean, Charizard's still cool to me, so I don't think it's just the over-utilization of Pikachu, but I don't know. Closing thoughts, Pikachu is the worst character in Pokepark 2. Snivy the Goat. Now, Raichu. I like Raichu. I think the episode of the anime where Pikachu is like fighting Raichu and then beats Raichu is pretty good, so I'll give it like, I'll put it under Arbok. I don't really have much to say about Raichu. Raichu just unfortunately goes so underutilized because Pikachu's the main character, therefore Raichu just doesn't get used in anything. That it's kind of unfortunate. Because I do like Raichu. He's cool. There's nothing wrong with him. Alolan Raichu, on the other hand, is awesome sauce. I love Alolan Raichu. more than Fierce Drag Rattatas. I don't know what they were cooking, because it's one of the Alolan forms that in practice I hate, because it has nothing to do with anything. It's just making Raichu a Surfer and then giving him a Psychic type for some reason. But also, he loves pancakes! And it's a reference to the anime with the one Surfer Pikachu with blue eyes. It's awesome. We love Alolan Raichu. He's a W. He's a W. I love Alolan Raichu. He's a W. Now, Sandshrew. He's never really done it for me. He's alright. Just kind of a basic starter stage 1 Pokemon that's just a real life animal, but a Pokemon. So, he's alright. He's cute. I can definitely see why people would say Sandshrew is their favorite Pokemon. He's a cute little guy, but he's not my cute little guy, you know? Alolan Sandshrew, on the other hand, I quite like. I think if you're gonna make Sandshrew like an ice type, changing him to basically be like an igloo is really novel. I think that's a cool way to take it. So, yeah. There's Sandshrew. Now, Sandslash. Sandslash is just cool, you know? He's kind of just a porcupine or a hedgehog, but he's cool. He's a cool hedgehog. He's like Sonic. He's like Sonic the Hedgehog because he's a cool hedgehog. So I'm gonna put him in A. Probably behind Raichu. No, above Raichu, because he's cool. He's cooler than Raichu for sure. Now, Alolan Sandslash, I think is really cool as well. You know, the ice spikes, that's an awesome aesthetic. And also giving him the steel type is pretty interesting, even though pairing it with the ice type kind of sucks because 4 times fire weakness, but whatever. But I really like Alolan Sandslash. He's just a cool guy. He's just cool. Pun intended. Now, Nidoran. Nidoran female, first of all. That's gonna be a C tier for me. It's just kind of like a little poison rat thing. I don't know. It's just it sure is a Pokemon, that's for sure. And then Nidorina. It's another one that just kind of doesn't like do much. It's an ugly middle stage. Put it below Wartortle. Then Nidoqueen. I would say I quite like Nidoqueen. Probably about there. She's alright, you know? I can't hate her. I think she's the one with Love Strike in TCG Pocket, which I wish that deck was better because it's a cool concept. Now for the male ones, which I'm just gonna prove I'm sexist and say the male ones are all just better than their female counterparts, at least for these two. Because, I don't know. In reality, A, purple's a better color than blue, and B, I'm an edgy son of a bitch. You put more spikes on something, I'm gonna like it more. But Nidoking, he's up here. I love my boy Nidoking. He is a king. Spoiler alert for a future video that is nowhere close to being made. It's like years out from completion, I'm not gonna lie. But I've done a roster for a Pokemon fighting game, and Nidoking's on it. And Nidoking was really fun to make him to like this grappler type Pokemon type fighter. So I really like Nidoking for that, partially. Mostly, partially. I don't know what I'm trying to say now. Clefable? That's Clefable. Or no, that's Clefairy. Bro, I do not remember all these. I do not remember the names of these Pokemon, I swear to God. I'm pretty sure that's Clefairy, right? Hold on. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm exposing myself. Yeah, it's Clefairy. I'm exposing myself as a not real Pokemon fan, but Clefairy's just alright. It doesn't really do a lot for me. Yeah, I think was the Pokemon with the I'm really exposing myself as a yeah, this Pokemon. What the hell is that Pokemon's name? I'm losing my mind. Hold on. Chansey. God, I can't believe I didn't remember Chansey's name. Oh my god. I don't know what I was even gonna say anymore. God, I can't remember. I didn't remember Chansey. Or I can't believe I didn't remember Chansey. Fake Pokemon fan coming. But Clefairy is a Pokemon that I have no strong feelings for. It's kind of just a Pokemon that exists for me. I don't know. I never used it. It was never my Scribbly. It's, you know, it's a cute little Pokemon fairy type. I can understand if people love it, but it's never really been for me. Clefable, on the other hand, I do quite like Clefable. Enough to put her here. I guess Kakuna is just the ultimate judge of A tier. If you can surpass Kakuna, you can get to the A tier. And really the reason I like Clefable is because so if you caught my last stream, you'd know I'm a Persona guy. I quite like Persona. Or Persona. And obviously SMT, or Megami Tensei stuff, Jack Frost and Black Frost. And I like that Clefable and Gengar were originally supposed to be the Jack Frost and Black Frost of the game. With Clefable being the light version, the nice, happy version. And yeah, I like that dichotomy a lot. So points for that. Vulpix. Vulpix. The Vulpix is cute, so I'll put it top of B. You can probably tell already. Cute Pokemon don't really just do it for me. You gotta have something else going on besides being cute, you know? Yeah, I don't really have much to say about Vulpix beyond that. Alolan Vulpix is just kind of Vulpix, but a little bit cuter. So yeah, Gippy, I guess. Ninetales, though. I like Ninetales. I'll probably put Ninetales here. I think Ninetales is just cool. A very literal name, though, if I were to criticize one thing. A very literal name. It's just, you know, a cool... What are they called? Kitsune? Is it Kitsune? I think it might be Kitsune, but it's a yokai. And I really like when Pokemon does, urban legend yokai type creatures. And Ninetales, looking through what's currently on the list, Ninetales was kind of the first. Unless there's some, legend, Japanese legend that I just don't know of that's associated with, Clefable or something. And I quite like Ninetales for that. And on that same token, I like this version of Ninetales better because it plays into that yokai aspect, you know? It's a ghostly apparition that creates illusions in the forest. You know, that's playing into the myth. And I like that. I think that's a good evolution on the concept. Pun intended. Jigglypuff! Jigglypuff's another Smash mon, it's another anime mon. Is it crazy to rank Jigglypuff higher than Pikachu? Might be. But I just find Jigglypuff to be very funny. I always found the joke in the anime to be funny, where Jigglypuff sings, puts someone to sleep, then gets mad that they fell asleep during the performance and draws all over the face. I think that's hilarious. Jigglypuff in Smash is the GOAT. My king, Hungry Box. Beyond that, yeah, that's really all there is to say about Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff, it's weird because, you know, nowadays people say like, oh, if they're gonna get rid of any of the Smash 64 characters, it's gonna be Jigglypuff. And I agree with that to an extent. Personally, I would get rid of like Ness and Star Fox first. But back like when Smash came out, Jigglypuff was like on the level of Pikachu and Charizard. And it's very interesting how Jigglypuff kind of fell off a little bit. But I don't know. I still love you, Jigglypuff. Then Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff, though, just doesn't do it for me. Wigglytuff just does not do it for me at all. I don't know what it is about Wigglytuff that doesn't do it for me. But there's something where it's just like, man, go back to being Jigglypuff. You were cooler when you were Jigglypuff, bro. Go back. Zubat now. I like Zubat. I like Zubat a lot, actually. I think Zubat, for kind of being just like the generic bat monster of the game, I think it has a very, you know, immediately standout design. And maybe it's just Stockholm Syndrome, but I wouldn't have my cave exploration be ruined by any other Pokemon than Zubat. Zubat's just iconic for being the Pokemon that you run into a billion jillion times in caves. I gotta give it up for that, you know? I gotta give it up for that. And Golbat. I think, spoilers for next week when I do Johto, I think Golbat is pretty easily the weakest in the line. But even then, I don't think Golbat's bad by any means. Probably put him there. He's just... I just think they didn't really quite... I just think if Golbat didn't have eyes, I would like it more. I'm gonna be so for real. If Golbat did not have eyes, I would like it more. That being said, I do still like Golbat. Having a bat that's just screaming all the time, you know, it makes sense. It makes sense for the characters, for the character, or for the Pokemon, because it's like, it's a bat, and bats are known for using echolocation. So having a bat that's just mouth wide open, screaming constantly, checks out. So I like that about Golbat. I like it. Oddish, also known as the Weed Pokemon. I'm just kidding. The Weed Pokemon's actually Cherubi. But I like Oddish. I remember in Poke Park 2, Oddish gives you a quiz, and that's awesome sauce. So that's another thing you may end up noticing is when we get to Gen 5 especially. I played Poke Park 2 as a kid. I did not play the original one. I did not have the original one. But I played the second one. And I love that game to death. So if a Pokemon was in Poke Park 2, I probably like it. I'd say above Squirtle. I like Oddish a little bit more. You know, Oddish is just a cute little grass Pokemon that, you know, is the weed Pokemon. And I say that kind of as a joke, but it also, it's an interesting way to do it, where it's like, there's a Pokemon that if you pull it up from the ground, it attacks you. And I don't think it did that in Gen 1. I think it was just a grass encounter. But they could totally do that in like a newer Gen game, and it'd be cool. Gloom. I quite like Gloom as well. This whole line I think is very good. Probably about there. I quite like Gloom. I think he's a silly little guy who, you know, I mean, I don't really have much else to say besides silly little guy, therefore, but I like him. I like him. I don't know what he's so sad for. Or maybe he's not sad. I think he's just sleeping, right? You don't really smile while you're sleeping. So, and then Vileplume. I think Vileplume's like, up here? Honestly, up here. I like Vileplume. Just, again, just a perfect evolution line, you know? You start with the grass, and then you go, it's beginning to bloom a little, and then finally it's a full-blown flower. And the flower's also poisonous, by the way. You know? I just like it. I just like Vileplume. Very cool Pokemon. Paris. D tier. If you played Legends Arceus, you know why. You know exactly why Paris is in D tier if you played Legends Arceus. Now, Parasect is... I like Parasect. I think it is a very cool concept. Think right there. I think Parasect is a very cool concept of like a Pokemon that is dead. You know, it has been taken over by this mushroom on its back, and it's a zombie now. I like that. I think that is a cool and interesting direction to take a Pokemon. So, Parasect goes there. Venonat. He's just a chill little guy, you know? He's just a cute little guy. I'd say probably... Honestly, you know what? He's up here. I just like the way he looks, how inquisitive he is in this render. He's going like, huh? What's that do? I like that. Venomoth. This is gonna be controversial, maybe. I love Venomoth. And it's entirely because of Pokemon Go. Venomoth was my partner Pokemon in Pokemon Go for years. He traveled with me everywhere. I loved that Venomoth. So, this is entirely nostalgia based, because let's be real, if we're looking at the design from just an objective standpoint, yeah, that sure is a moth, and that's kind of all there is. But I loved that Venomoth, man. I loved that Venomoth. So, up there. Now, let's see, how many more do I have? There. I am going to go to Primeape, and then I'm going to have to take a break to get a drink. Diglett! Solid Pokemon. I like Diglett. What is under Diglett? It's a question for the ages, truly. And it's a Pokemon that they always, like, try to recapture the magic of, and they've never been able to. They've never been able to recapture the magic of Diglett. Speaking of, Alolan Diglett. My first E tier? I think so. I don't... Or no. I'll reserve E tier for Alolan Dugtrio. But Alolan Diglett, it's just like... Why is it steel type and why does it have hair? I don't know. It's just trying to recapture the magic of Diglett in a way it never really can. Dugtrio. I like Dugtrio a lot. Another Pokemon that was, in fact, in Pokepark 2. So, points for that, I guess. I'll put him above Glue. And one of the Pokemon that follows the archetype of just 3 of these things, that sure is cool, and it's one of the better ones to do it, I think. Because, like, how else are you gonna evolve? What do you do to do more Diglett besides Dugtrio, you know? Diglett, like, taking Diglett out of the ground would just ruin the magic. So I like Dugtrio for that reason. Oh, excuse me. And then Alolan Dugtrio is going to be in E tier. I do not care for Alolan Dugtrio. The hair, it's just, why does it have hair and why is it steel type? I'm just not a fan. Just not a fan. Now, Meowth. I mean, it's gotta be. It's Meowth. Like, it is the anime Pokemon. You know, I love Meowth in the anime. He's so funny. One of the funniest characters in the anime is easily Meowth. I love Meowth. So into S tier he goes. Alolan Meowth sucks though. I don't like him. I don't like his vibes. And Galarian Meowth's even worse. What were they thinking? I am so glad they did not do a Paldean Meowth because it would somehow be worse than Galarian. Thank God. What were they thinking? And Persian. Persian is just kind of whatever, you know? Like, how do you follow up Meowth? And the answer is you don't really follow up Meowth at all, because Meowth's perfect as is. You know, Persian's just kind of a cat. And I guess, you know, Giovanni uses Persian. It's like a very sophisticated cat, I guess. But it just doesn't do it for me. And then Alolan Persian is a disgrace to humanity. You know what I'll say? It's worse than Alolan Meowth. It is just a disgrace to humanity. I don't know why they made it look like Garfield. I don't know why. I don't know why are you. And it's just. I don't like it. I do not like it one bit. Then Psyduck. Psyduck is kind of an underrated anime Pokemon, if we're being real, but like, I think Psyduck had the potential to be pretty annoying, but pairing it up with Misty was just perfect, you know? It was perfect comedy. And I quite liked that a lot. I liked Psyduck's pairing with Misty, you know, they just work off each other really well. And I think to this day Psyduck is Misty's best Pokemon in the anime. And then Golduck. Obligatory, why is it not Psychic type? Otherwise, beyond it, the thing is, the conversation around the type that it is not honestly brings more to the table than just base Golduck. You know, it's kind of just a dinosaur duck looking thing, which I don't know why it is the way it is, or why it do the way it do. But so I'll give it top B. Because I don't hate it. It's still interesting, I suppose, but like it's just a weird creature to look at. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at whenever I look at it. Mankey was in fact in Pokepark 2. That being said, it wasn't a very memorable part of Pokepark 2. So I'll put it like here. As a matter of fact, it was kind of annoying in Pokepark 2 because you're doing like the chase challenges in the grass area, in the windmill area, and then the Mankey runs into you. And it's like, what the heck, Mankey? Get out of the way! So I'll put Mankey there. But, you know, it's whatever. And then Primeape. I don't know what it is, but Primeape's just cool. He was in Pokepark 2 as well, but even beyond that, Primeape is just cool for some reason. I don't know why it is, but he's just cool. Maybe it's the chains, like the chain or the handcuffs. I I don't know what they're supposed to be besides handcuffs. I don't know. Maybe it's just that, but Primeape's just cool. I just fuck with his energy pretty heavily. So A+ for Primeape. Now, I'm going to pause my music, and we're going to take a quick little break, and I will be right back shortly, and we will finish this off, hopefully. All right. Start up the music. There we go. So Growlithe. Growlithe. It's alright. It's another one that never really like did it for me. I'll give it an A tier. I certainly like Growlithe, but it's never stuck out in my mind. Hisuian Growlithe I do really like though. There's something about a cute little dog with its eyes covered that's, it's universal. Even my heart of steel cannot deny its cuteness. Then Arcanine. I really like Arcanine, very cool. It was the first Pokemon that really felt like a legendary Pokemon. Even if it's not a legendary Pokemon, it feels like a super rare, super legendary Pokemon. So I'm gonna give it top of A for that. And then Hisuian Arcanine, I really like the colors of it. That being said, it doesn't hit the same as the original Arcanine. It's still good though, so I will give it here. I'll put it there. Then no, that's not Poliwhirl, that's... Why can I not think of the name? Poliwag! Oh my god. I'm such a fake Pokemon fan, bro. Poliwag. I mean, it's just kind of a tadpole. It's cool though. It's a cool little tadpole. It's got the swirls, which, fun fact about the swirls, that actually is based off real life. Because in tadpoles and early frog stages, you can actually see their innards. So this was supposed to be like the intestines. I'm going to give it a B tier. It's cool. Then Poliwhirl. I like Poliwhirl. He's cool. He does like his stupid Mario pose. He's like, wahoo! He's just a silly little guy. And then Poliwrath, again, he's kind of like Primate for me, where I just fuck with his energy. He's just a cool guy. He's ready to lay the beat down on you. He's that guy. Now Abra. I like Abra. As far as the teleporting away after one turn Pokemon go, Abra's probably the best at it. And I don't know, he's just a cool little sleeping fox little guy. Put him there. Then Kadabra. I like Kadabra. I like Kadabra a lot. Just kind of a good evolution. Put him right there, because, yeah. I don't think he's just kind of a good evolution on Abra's idea. And then Alakazam. I really like Alakazam. This is just gonna be like a final stage therefore thing, but Alakazam's just really cool, He's got the IQ of like a supercomputer. He's awesome. Honestly, I'll put him up here. I just like Alakazam. He's an awesome guy. Now, Machop. He's alright. I mean, it's just kind of like a little alligator fist fighter guy. Put him here. Then Machoke. I like Machoke. He's pretty cool. I'll put him here. It's just kind of a guy with an alligator face, though. Machamp, though, I like Machamp. I think just having 4 arms makes him really cool, He's kind of like the fighting type, you know, and he was in Pokken. He was pretty cool in Pokken. So, I like Machamp a lot, you know? He can do like the Aura stuff from JoJo. That makes him awesome. Bellsprout. I like Bellsprout. He reminds me of a pea shooter from Plants vs. Zombies, and that's awesome sauce. So he gets to go here. Weepin' Bell. Weepin' Bell's just a goofy guy. I quite like goofy fellas like Weepin' Bell. I'll put him there. And then Victory Bell. The more I think about Victory Bell, the more I like him. I think, you know, having it's not a Venus flytrap, but it is based off a carnivore. Hold on, I'm gonna have to look that up because that's gonna annoy me now. A carnivorous pitcher plant based off one of these guys, and I think that is quite cool. And also, you know, he's paired up with James in the anime, which is really funny. I love the archetype of Pokemon that just tries to eat James for no reason. And Victory Bell falls into that. So he's pretty cool. And I like him. Tentacool! He's just cool, isn't he? He's just a cool guy, isn't he? You know, he's just kind of a jellyfish. Or... yeah, I guess a jellyfish. I don't really know what they're supposed to be. And then Tentacruel, who canonically did 9/11 in the anime. That being said, I like him a lot. The design is simple but really effective. For some reason, he kind of reminds me of like a UFO, which I don't know if that was supposed to be intentional or not, but I like that. It's probably the combination of the kind of mushroom-shaped hat combined with like the Marvin the Martian head. But he's just cool. He's just a cool little jellyfish guy. Geodude. Geodude. I mean, you can't really go wrong with Geodude. It's a simple design, but it works. It fundamentally works. You know? He's just a rock that punches things, and that's awesome sauce. Now, Alolan Geodude, man, I do not like a lot of the Alolan guys, huh? Alolan Geodude doesn't really work for me. I understand what they're going for with the magnetic stuff, but I think that was pulled off better with like Nose Pass or Sandy Shocks. So this Alolan form didn't really feel super necessary. That being said, Geodude's probably the best because it's the one that has the least stuff on it. Graveler! Graveler is a Pokemon that I've never really... I'm not enamored. It's just kind of the ugly middle stage again, you know? I don't quite know why he has 4 arms, but sure, I guess. And he's also just kind of ugly. I don't know. Then Alolan Graveler, say everything I just said about regular Graveler, except now he has all this crap added onto him that makes him look ugly. Golem, though, I like Golem. He's cool. You know, he's just kind of a dinosaur trapped in a rock, and that's awesome sauce. You know, he's just kind of a goofy little fella, and that's cool. Which, another kind of Pokemon theory that's worth talking about, and the theory is that originally the Pokemon that were meant to be traded back and forth to evolve them, it was originally supposed to be specifically Graveler and Machoke that you trade to get Machamp and Golem. And the reason for that is that Golem inherits features from Machoke, like the alligator face, whereas Machamp inherits features from Graveler, such as the forearms and the flatter face. So that's the way the theory goes. And again, I think that's a pretty plausible theory, you know, especially since they probably couldn't specifically code it that you had to trade those Pokemon, since that probably wasn't a thing in Gen 1 on the Game Boy. That was probably too difficult of a thing to do. Then Alolan Golem. I'm not a fan of Alolan Golem. The giant magnet and the beard just do not do it for me. You know, Golem already looked goofy, but this is just a little too over the top, and the magnet just looks ugly. Ponyta. It's cool. Again, another kind of just sure is a stage 1 starter, you know? And Galarian Ponyta is, you know, it sure is a stage 1 starter, but this time it's a fairy type, so there's that. Rapidash is cool though. The idea of like a fiery unicorn is just a novel concept that I can get behind for sure. So yeah, you know what, I'll move Ponyta above Galarian Ponyta because I like the fiery aesthetic a little bit more than the fairy aesthetic. And with Galarian Ponyta, it makes sense that this is a Pokemon they would want to do a version where it makes it a fairy type. And it also makes sense for Galar, since that's Britain. I'm pretty sure unicorns are like a British myth, or more of a British myth. So it makes sense that they do it there, and how they do it, but also it just doesn't do it compared to the original. Like, Rapidash is so cool, you know, it runs so fast that it catches on fire. That's an awesome design, and now it's just a unicorn. Cool. I can go play Megami Tensei and get a cooler unicorn. You know what I mean? Slowpoke. Slowpoke's just an awesome guy, you know? You can't hate on Slowpoke. It's one of those all-timers that there's a reason it's pretty popular. Then Galarian Slowpoke. I really like how Galarian Slowpoke is just a Slowpoke, but he ate some poisonous berries, so now he's poisonous. But it's still just Slowpoke, you know? I think that's one of the better ways to do, like, I forget what they're called. A regional form. Brain fart. I think that's one of the best ways to do a regional form, where it's just that Pokemon, but something in the environment caused them to change, you know? Then Slowbro. I like Slowbro. Again, you know, it's just Slowpoke is so stupid that a Shelder bit its tail and then they both evolve at the same time. Which honestly, the Shelder is really the thing that evolved more than the Slowpoke. But I still like it. Although it's always been very interesting to me how it's like, oh, this is supposed to be a Cloyster, when that is not what Cloyster looks like at all. Like, this is what Cloyster looks like, not that. But I don't know. Maybe one day they'll do like a version of Cloyster that just looks like the Slowpoke version, but not attached to Slowpoke. Then Galarian Slowpoke. Again, it's a very good way to do the regional form, where it's just a Slowpoke, a Slowbro, but it's poison type now because the region where it was is different, and also the Shelder attached to its hand because the Slowpoke's tail is poisonous. So now the Slowbro has like a Mega Man Buster, which also is just cool. Like Mega Man Buster Slowbro is just cool. Magnemites. I love Magnemite. He's a silly little guy. Probably there. And then of course Magneton is just 3 Magnemites fused together. But I think this one really works because it's like, of course, you know, it's magnets. Magnets attract each other. So of course 3 magnets are just gonna attract and be attached to each other. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put it like up here. Because Magneton, again, spoiler alert, is another one of the Pokemon that I have in my fighting game concept. So, and Magneton's moveset was really, really fun to make. Which I'm not going to talk about its moveset because I want that to... I want at least to have some surprises, you know? So, there's the Magneton. Now, Farfetch'd. Farfetch'd never particularly did it for me. It's just a bird with a leak, you know? And on that same token, Galarian Farfetch'd is just a bird with a bigger leak. Cool, whatever. Now, Doduo. I like Doduo. Probably there. And then Dodrio. Way up higher. Because Dodrio is just Doduo but more, and that's cool. I'll do like here, maybe? No, yeah. There we go. No, I like Geodude more. So, there we go, Dodrio is just 3-headed bird, while Doduo is 2-headed bird. Isn't that neat? They're flying type for some reason. Or at least I'm pretty sure they're flying type. Let me double check that so I don't look like an idiot. Yeah, it's flying. It's a flying type. Cool. If you've seen that animation of like a Sandile catching a Doduo, and then the Doduo just uses its heads like a helicopter, it's such a funny animation. That's where the flying comes from, by the way. They just use their heads like a helicopter. So, funny. You know what? Just for that animation, Doduo gets to be an A+. Fuck it. Dodrio didn't get the animation though, so El Skibbity. But the animation's really funny, so there you go. Now, Seal. It sure is a seal, I guess. Literally the only memorable thing about Seal that I can think about is the episode of the anime where a Hypno hypnotizes Misty into thinking she's a seal. Which Seal wasn't even in that episode, so I guess that goes to show how memorable Seal is. And then Dugong's kind of better because at least it feels a little bit more magical. But at the same time, it's like it's still just kind of a Dugong. So I'll throw it up here. But these are two of the worst examples in the entire series of like, man, this Pokemon sure is just an animal. Cool. Grimer! Okay. I love Grimer. And the reason I love Grimer is because Grimer kind of... There's a couple Pokemon like this, but Grimer basically is meant to represent a very standard RPG trope, JRPG trope, which is the slime enemy. The Pokemon just, like, every good JRPG, or really every JRPG, has to have a slime enemy, right? So, naturally, I mean, Grimer is the slime enemy of this game. And he's awesome for it. He does a fantastic job at being the slime enemy. So I think for that Slimer can go up there. Or Grimer. I've been calling him Slimer. That's from Ghostbusters. Grimer. And then a Alolan Grimer. Hold on, let me look up before I complain. Let me look him up real quick. Let me look him up real quick. Oh, let me see Alolan. What the hell? He's Poison Dark. There we go. I just had to do it. There it is. There's the Alolan. A Grimer, which had been running his... Okay. So I was... There we go. Did my research. I like that Alolan Grimer is like kind of answering the problem of like, okay, so we have all these Pokemon, what do they do? What, do they have jobs? Some of them are sent. Alakazam has the IQ of a supercomputer. Why does bro not have a job? Get this man in a McDonald's stat. But Alolan Grimer has a job, you know? He eats the trash and he makes the place cleaner. And I think that's a cool subversion on the trope of like Grimer is gross and sewage-like and you don't want to be around him. But Alolan Grimer, he's still kind of gross, but at least he's chill and he like is helping keep the streets of Alola clean. So that's awesome. We love a good employed man here. A good employed Grimer. And Muck. I think Muck, in many ways, Muck is just kind of Grimer, but more. So, therefore, better. Although, I do really like Alolan Muck. I am a big fan of Alolan Muck. Because I like that he's just the color of an oil spill. Because he's eating up all the oil spills. And he's keeping the oceans of Alola clean. W Muck. W Muck. Again, we love a good employed Pokemon. Sorry for the jump scare, by the way. I didn't mean to say employed. My fault. I should censor that next time. I'll censor job next time. Shelter! Shelter's just a silly little guy. I mean... What can you say about Shelter? He's just a happy, silly little guy who also sometimes chomps on Slowpoke tails. But apparently they're tasty, so can you really blame him? I don't know, I just like him. There's something about him. There's something about his vibes I just am a fan of. Oh my god. It's the Butterfree song. Oh my god. Here we go. Cloyster. Obligatory Cloyster looks like, you know. But beyond that, Cloyster just... Beyond that one thing, Cloyster just never really did anything for me. I don't like his vibes the same way I like Shelter's vibes. I'll put it like that. Cloyster's vibes are not as vibey as Shelter's, you know? He lacks those same vibrations that Shelter has. Ghastly. Another kind of Pokemon crackpot theory that I'm stealing from somebody else. The theory goes, Ghastly is a dead Cloyster because they look similar. But that's one that I've never really bought, because on that same token, it could be a Shelter, it could be a Tentacruel. I'm sure there's other Pokemon that have the Marvin the Martian face from Gen 1. That I am forgetting currently. Maybe not. So I guess it could be those three Pokemon. But basically the only evidence that it's specifically Cloyster is that they're next to each other in the Pokédex, and like, okay, let me scroll down a bit. Where is Misdreavus? Where is Misdreavus? What the hell? It's a Johto Pokemon. Am I tripping? Okay, I've lost Mischievous. I'm going further down into Gen 3. By that same token, Sableye is a dead Delcatty, or wait, Shed Ninja actually is a dead Ninjask. Shit. Or, where's another ghost type? Where Bane, Shuppet is a dead Kecleon, or Duskull is a dead Bane. Like, I don't think my point is, I don't think being next to something in the Pokédex really means anything, you know? So, Ghastly. That being, anyways, I think Ghastly is an A+ tier Pokemon. You know, it's a very instantly striking, like, ghost Pokemon. You know, like, I can't really describe it, but like, Ghastly's just, it makes sense, especially since this line is also poison type, so it's like, it's a toxic cloud that's also a ghost, and I think Ghastly's design communicates that well. Haunter. Haunter is an S+. I think Haunter is awesome sauce. I love Haunter. He is kind of like, this is the design of a Pokemon ghost. This is the design of a ghost type Pokemon. Haunter just screams ghost type, and I love that about him. It works really well. And then Gengar. I still love Gengar, but I don't think he's as good as Haunter. He kind of lacks the ghostly kind of charm that Haunter has. Haunter's much more ghost-like than Gengar, but on that same token, again, I like that Gengar is like the shadow of Clefable, and his big grin is awesome, and he's silly. He's a silly guy, so you know, I love Gengar. I do love Gengar. He's cool. Also, there was that one episode where Ash died. That was pretty awesome. Ash died like 15 times in the series though, so whatever. Onix. Onix. The Quick Claw Alpha Rag clip's pretty cool, I guess. I don't know. Brock's Onix is... That's something. Onix is like a very good first boss Pokemon, you know? It has kind of garbage stats, but when Brock pulls it out for the first time in the first game, it's like, that Onix is intimidating. You just got done fighting these little rock dudes, and now he's pulling out this giant-ass rock snake? Like, that's crazy. So, that is something I do appreciate greatly about Onix. I think up here. There, that is my spot for Onix. Drowsy, he's kind of fugly. He's kind of really fugly. I don't like his nose. I do not like his nose. I'm gonna put him there. Hypno. Oh boy, Hypno. First off, I'm gonna look up some Dex entries. I'm gonna look up some Dex entries before we say anything about Hypno, okay? Okay, so there, Fire Red. There's the child's one. This is the Pokédex entry that ruined Hypno's reputation. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Also, fun fact, this is what Hypno and Drowsy are based on. They're kind of gross creatures. But also there's like a Japanese or it may not necessarily be Japanese, but there's like a myth about them that they eat dreams, so that's why Hypno and Drowsy are psychic types that eat dreams and induce hypnosis. Okay, X has the same. That's the same one as Fire Red. Okay. Okay, an extremely dangerous Pokemon. That's what Sun says. People who are in need of good sound sleep call it their savior. Okay. Okay, another kidnapping incident. Hypno may not be innocent. Hypno may not be innocent. Oh, but wait. It rarely harms people in Alola. Okay. And there are some Hypno that assist doctors. Okay, we're Hypno Redemption Arc. Hold on, Hypno Redemption Arc. Okay. So, yeah. For some reason, I thought there was some Dex entry that also said Hypnos don't generally like people, but it seems like they're chill. But anyways, for one, let's address the Diddy allegations, the Diddy blood allegations. This only happened once, the child taking it away, and Moon. Let's talk about this. Moon clears it of being like for a weird reason. Clearly, the child was just having a good dream, so it's just feasting off their dreams. Anyways, yeah, I can't defend Hypno. I'm not standing up for Hypno in court. That being said, Pokemon Company, why did you do this? Like, genuinely, I do really like Hypno's design. I think it has a solid design. And there are other Pokemon it did this to. It did it to Drifloon, and I think it did it to Gothorita. I think Gothorita also kidnaps children. So Pokemon Company just needs to stop, for real. So I'm gonna put Hypno in the B tier because I do really like what it's referencing, like what it's a reference to. It's a unique reference. It's a yokai thing, which I already mentioned. I quite like the yokai stuff. It kind of had a redemption arc in Sun and Moon, but also, or in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, but then it didn't. Also kind of didn't. And then, it is a confirmed child kidnapper, or at least one of them is a confirmed child kidnapper. Maybe it was ostracized from the community. Not all Hypnos, right? Not all Hypnos. So I'm gonna give it top of B, but I can't put it in A because of the child predation problem. Krabby. This is just kind of a crab. This is just a crab. But he's an awesome crab though, so he gets to go in A because he is an awesome crab. I don't know what about it. He's just kind of a silly guy. I like his vibes. You know what I mean? He's another kind of vibey type of guy. I'll put him below Diglett. Kingler though, I love Kingler. Kingler's awesome. You know, obviously he's supposed to be like a king crab from here, but there's like the crown on his head. That's a funny touch. I love Crab Hammer, W move, Crab Hammer. Ash had one, I think. I think Ash had a Kingler, right? And Ash's Kingler was a W. Hold on, let me look that up. Ash's Kingler. Oh, is there win rates for all of Ash's Pokemon? Okay, Reddit.com. Let's see what you got. Where's King? Kingler has a 71% win rate. That's why he's the GOAT. Oh, I forgot Ash had a muck too. Oh, I remember the Ash's muck now. Oh my god, I remember Ash's muck. I can't believe I forgot Ash's muck. Both mucks are in S tier. Ash's muck is so funny. It's kind of like the same thing with Victory Bell, where Muck is like trying to constantly, but it's kind of the opposite way, where Muck is trying to like constantly love on Ash, but then it's poisonous, so Ash just dies a little every time. I love his Muck. I can't believe I forgot about his Muck. Oh my god. Oh, I forgot he had a Mankey too, and it has a 100% win rate? Okay, W Mankey. Okay, that's something I'm gonna keep for later though. That is a surprise tool that will help us later, maybe. Maybe when we talk about how much of a bum Greninja is. I'm just kidding, Greninja is not a bum. Voltorb. Remember when I was talking about with Slimer, where Slimer covers like the generic RPG trope? Voltorb also covers like a generic RPG trope, where Voltorb is a mimic, you know? Most mimics are like, they take the form of chest, because most series have like a chest as your main source of loot. But in Pokemon, the Pokeballs are where you get your loot on the map. So Voltorb takes the form of a Pokeball and then explodes on you. So I really like that. I think that is a good way to get around like the mimic trope, and it's a unique way of doing it. And I quite like Voltorb for that. Next up is Electrode. Oh wait, no, it's Hisuian Voltorb. Which Hisuian Voltorb is another example of how to do a great regional variant, because Pokeballs didn't exist yet, but the berries that would eventually become Pokeballs do. So Hisuian Voltorb disguises itself as these berries, or are they nuts? They're either berries or nuts, and then explodes on you. It still is the mimic, while also accounting for the fact that this is in a different setting with different type of stuff going on. So it still makes sense with like the lineage of Voltorb, but now it just looks a little different to match the setting, which I think is cool. Then Electrode. I think Electrode kind of fails to really capitalize on Voltorb. It's just upside down Voltorb, so you know, whatever. He is a bit of a bastard in TCG Pocket, I guess, so that's cool. And also what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, he also looks like Krillin from Dragon Ball, so that's awesome. we love Krillin. Hold on, can I find Electrode Krillin? Electrode Krillin. Let me see if I can find. Oh, that's a sick Mega Electrode though. They should put that in the game. No, I can't find it. Somebody needs to make somebody needs to just put like Krillin's face on Electrode. That'd be funny. And Hisuian Electrode. Again, what I just said about Hisuian Voltorb, but worse because it's Electrode. Yippee! Execute. How do you pronounce execute? I always struggle with these. Execute. What is the pronunciation, bro? Where's the pronunciation? Do they not have the pronunciation? What the hell? I guess it's supposed to just be execute. So, cool, I guess. Execute. It sure is a collection of eggs, I guess. Although they're not even eggs because they're actually seeds. That being said, I don't know. They are just kind of silly. What's your favorite execute face? I like the one that's just broken. That's my favorite. I'm gonna give him an A. Nah, I'm gonna give him a B. I'm looking at B, and I'm thinking they're worse than like some of the B tiers. You know what I mean? They're definitely worse than like this. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling for Execute. Executor though, one of my favorite Pokemon just in general. I love Executor. It's another like nostalgia one. I had one in Sword and Shield, and Sword and Shield had the follow mechanics in the DLC wild areas. And Executor has a funny walk cycle, so I've always had him as the first of my party. And he's just awesome. I just love Executor. And then Alolan Executor. As an Executor lover, do I hate Alolan Executor? No! I love all Executors, shape and size, regardless. And also, I think it's interesting, for starters, he's a dragon type, so that's pretty cool. I think it's because, like, the plant he's based off is, like, a dragon palm or something like that. That's the reason. It's a pun. And then, also, he has a Gulpin on his tail for some reason. Like, it's a very random-ass Pokemon to put on the tail. You'd figure it'd be, like, an Execute, but no, it's a Gulpin. So, I don't know. Gulpin these nuts. So, Cubone. It's just kind of raw that Cubone wears its dead mother's skull. That's just kind of raw. I fuck with that energy heavily. So I'm going to put Cubone. I'm going to put Cubone below Shelder. I think I fuck with Shelder's energy more than Cubone's. Marowak. Marowak is cool. I think Cubone's a little bit better, just because it has the dead mother skull thing going on, whereas Marowak, it's like, yeah, it's your, I guess it's still your dead mom, but like, get over it, bro. You're 20. Who cares? That being said, Marowak's still cool. I cannot deny Marowak is still very cool. So I will put it below Mankey. Then Alolan Marowak, however, that is like rule of cool to the extreme. The bone is flaming now, and it's a ghost type. That's an awesome sauce moment. I'm gonna throw it, yeah, below Onyx. So Alolan Marowak's just rule of cool incarnate. Then Hitmonlee. Is Hitmonlee a Bruce Lee reference? Genuine question. Hold on, let me look that up. Bruce Lee. Let's see about this. They are. Well, there you go. So, there you go. Somebody said that's not true, but I'm gonna pretend it is. Hitmonlee. I think I like Hitmonlee. I'm gonna put them. I'm gonna put them close to each other because I really like the dichotomy of like one's the kicky and one's the punchy. I think that's cool. Hitmonlee's better because he's a boy. I hate women. I'm sexist. No, I'm just kidding. I like women. We love women here on the That One Pyro Dude stream. But in this case, Hitmonlee is better. That being said, I do still like Hitmonchan's like boxing gloves and little pink dress. I like the dress. The dress is kind of fire. Hitmonlee's out here just like balls out, just chilling. But Hitmonchan. She's decent. Although, again, the real reason I like Hitmonlee more is that I think the spring legs are unique and a very like novel concept, whereas Hitmonchan's kind of just a boxer. You know, she doesn't really have a gimmick like Hitmonlee does. Should have given her spring arms. Lickitung! The joke in Detective Pikachu with Lickitung was pretty funny, I guess. I don't really have a lot to say about Lickitung. It's just kind of... It's a Pokemon that I constantly forget exists. It never, ever did anything for me. I'll put it next to Cloyster to have an agenda going. What agenda? I don't know. Where's Licky Licky? Is Licky Licky facing the other way? No, it is not. Now, coughing. Another Team Rocket Pokemon. That being said, I really like coughing. It's just kind of a meteor full of gas, but I mean, what else can you do for a poison type Pokemon, right? That just is prime poison type. And also, he's just kind of a silly little guy. What can you say? He's just kind of a silly little fella. I said little fella, it reminded me of Pete White from Venture Bros. I think that's what he always called Billy. I can't do a Pete White. Oh, hold on, let me try a Pete White impression real quick. I can't do it. I can't summon the voice from within me. And then Wheezing. I quite like Wheezing. It's kind of like the Dogeo thing where it's coughing, but more coughing. I like that the super rare Wheezings, you get a third head. Ooh, awesome. Yeah, it's just, you know, it sure is Wheezing. I give it there. And then Galarian Wheezing. It's not a bad regional form, but it's also not a good regional form. I'll put it like here. I like the British smokestack like factory owner vibe that's got going on, but also I'm pretty sure this one's fairy type, and it's like cleaning the environment, which I wouldn't have gone for personally. I would have made it like Poison Dark, kind of like a Alolan Grimer and a Alolan Muck, so that we can talk about how evil British factory owners are. We can talk about how evil British people are, because British people are evil. Fun fact. Then ride on these nuts. Still got it. Honestly, I think Rhydon is the best in the line. You know, he's a cool rhinoceros that also probably should have been made Steel type when Steel type was added, but that's neither here nor there. He's pretty cool though. Where am I gonna put him? However, yeah, probably there. Yeah, and then, oh wait, that's not Rhydon. This is Rhydon. This is, what the fuck is his name? Hold on. I'm an idiot. I'm not gonna lie. Rhyhorn! I might be stupid. Don't answer that. Rhydon though. The actual Rhydon, the real Rhydon. Did you know that Rhydon was the first Pokemon ever designed? Don't care. It's still boring. That's probably why it's boring, is because it's the first. It can also learn Surf, I guess, so whatever. Honestly, this is probably the hotter take than Rhyhorn is the best. Rhydon is the worst. I like Rhyperior more than Rhydon. Rhydon's just, it's just discount Nidoking. Honestly, it may have been intended to be in the Nidoking line before they like changed it a little, because it really does look like Nidoking and Nidoqueen. So I'll put it, I'll put it below Dugong, above Graveler, so I feel. Chansey, the original nurse Pokemon. We love Chansey, although we also hate Chansey because Jessie got bullied out of nursing school because of Chansey. So fuck Chansey. I mean, there's not really much to say, you know, it just kind of was the original nurse Pokemon, and that's cool, so I'm gonna put it here, top of it. Tangela! Oh, Tangela's another one that could be dead ghastly. Honestly, Tangela being ghastly makes more sense than Cloyster, what the hell? I don't really have much to say about Tangela besides Tangela is cool. So, I'm gonna put it below, much above Sandshrew. Yeah. Tangle is just cool. It's definitely one of the Pokemon that benefited from having a new evolution in Gen 4. Because, I mean, like, Tangela just... it sure is a Tangela, I guess. Kangaskhan! I actually really like Kangaskhan. You know? You can't go wrong with, like, a marsupial-type monster. And, of course, the game theory that a Cubone is what happens when the Kangaskhan dies before the baby's reached full maturity is interesting. An interesting idea. So I'll put it above Marowak for being Cubone's true mom. Horsey. Is this Kingdra or Seadra? Which one is the one that came later? Forget. Let's see. Okay, it is Seadra. That makes sense. Horsey is a cute seahorse. Seadra is a spiky seahorse. Goldeen. I like Goldeen. You know, it's another Misty Pokemon, so we got that going for it. It is just kind of a fish, though, you know, and it's not a funny fish like Magikarp. It's supposed to be a serious fish, but in the process of being a serious fish, it has become a boring fish. Seaking, on the other hand, I think is a lot better because I think it is a lot prettier, you know? It's lost its arrogant ways and has truly become a humble king. And we love humble kings here on the That One by our new channel. Therefore, Seaking can go here. No, here. Yes. Therefore, Seaking can go there. Seeking these nuts. Staryu. It sure is not really a starfish, but a star, I guess. I don't know. Staryu really doesn't do anything for me, because like it can't even emote. And it doesn't have all of the funny happenstance behind Starmie going for it, so it kind of suffers heavily because of that. Probably there. Starmie. Okay, so first thing with Starmie is, hold on. We're gonna take a trip to YouTube real quick. French Starmie. Wait, Uncle Dane posted? Oh, that was a long time ago. And somehow I didn't see about it. Hold on. There we go. I don't think I'm still subscribed to whatever. So where is French Starmie? I guess it's this one. Yeah. I hate that meme. Hold on. Let me... Okay. So this is what Starmie sounds like in the French dub of Pokemon. That's not Starmie, obviously. Oh, I hadn't heard Star You. That's hilarious.
Ah, je suis fan de Starry. Je comprends, c'est l'un de mes Pokémon préférés, moi aussi. S'arrange. Go!
Like, why does it sound like that? Why do they sound like that? Genuinely, why do they sound like that? What the hell? Okay, I may want to watch that actually. Hold on. Every time I go to YouTube, there's always on stream. There's always something I end up wanting to watch. So, shall we? But yeah, that for one, that is what Starmie sounds like in the French dub. For some reason, don't know why, but that you don't like that. Cool, that's fine. However, Starmie is also like a bastard, or it was a bastard on launch in Pokemon TCG Pocket. Which, on the one hand, it was infuriating to go against Starmie players because they would always get better Misty rolls than me. But as I also used Starmie, and even to this day, I still use Starmie in water decks because it's just like, why not just throw it in? And it's genuinely a really fun card to use. There are some like meta cards in TCG Pocket like Giratina and Darkrai that I don't... Well, Darkrai is pretty fun. Like Giratina that I don't think are really that fun to use, but Starmie is really fun. And there is still like good counterplay to Starmie, you know? It's not perfect. Even as far back as then, Pikachu and Mewtwo were easy counters to Starmie. So, for those reasons, I quite like Starmie. Therefore, Starmie... Honestly, it's gonna go up here. Do I do it? I think I do. I fuck with Starmie heavily. So, Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime's another one that gets jokes about him like Hypno, but not as many because everybody knows Mr. Mime's really into MILFs. Let's keep it real. And that being said, Mr. Mime's just always been weird to me. He's a little too human. Like, there are some human Pokemon that are fine, like Machamp. Machamp's a good example. Like, Machamp's just chill, cause like he looks human. He's very humanoid, but you can tell he's not that human. But Mr. Mime, that's just like a dude. It's like, I don't know, man. Give him a nose, and that's just like a guy. So I'm not really a big fan of him. And I don't know, he's just a weird fella. And if you've seen how he looks in Detective Pikachu, he's also he's an odd little fella. An odd fella. I don't think he goes in C tier though. I'll put him above Wigglytuff. As you can see, I am not a hater of Pokemon. I quite like many Pokemon. I do not like Galarian Mr. Mime. Actually, no. I like Galarian Mr. Mime. I think he's worse than the original Mr. Mime because he's not even a mime anymore. Why the fuck is he called Mr. Mime if he's not a mime? He's a tap dancer. But I don't know, he's kind of silly, and I like that he uses the ice that he creates as his tap shoes. That's funny. So I'm not gonna hate him too much. And his little dance is pretty silly. Hold on, let me find Galarian Mr. Mime GIF. There we go. I like his little dance. I fuck with his little dance. And here's this man, which we'll talk about later. Oh, Scyther. Scyther's just cool. Scyther's just cool. He kind of gets overshadowed by Scizor. But I mean, Scyther's still just awesome on his own. You know, he was one of the Pokemon where it's like, if he never got an evolution in like Gen 2, Gen 4, Gen 9, whatever, he would still be loved. People would still like remember him and be like, man, Scyther's just cool, isn't he? But because he got those evolutions, he's become overshadowed by his evolutions, because Scissor's also just really, really cool. Cleaver sucks though. But Scyther, I will run the Scyther Defense Force and say that Scyther is still awesome. Jinx, on the other hand, is not awesome. It was pointed out to me by, what's his face? Mr. Redbeard guy. The guy who's been, like, going through every Pokemon and rating them on his, channel. Or on his Instagram. He pointed out, and it was the first time I heard about this, that Jinx is kind of supposed to be like in a trio with Electabuzz and Magmar, and it's just like, why does she look like that if she's supposed to be with them? It's just weird. She doesn't belong. She's like, kind of like Mr. Mime in that she's too human, but it's just weird. Also, we don't need to talk about her dark past, you know? She has a very dark past, both metaphorically and literally. So I'm gonna put her in D, honestly. Which, for the record, I'll just say this for the record, Paris is only here because of our slander from Legends Arceus. If I was to rank Paris genuinely, he'd probably be somewhere in B and A, so. Electabuzz. Electabuzz and Magmar are two Pokemon where it's like, they got hard, in my mind, they get hard overshadowed by the Pokemon that come later in Gen 2 and Gen 4. That being said, they're definitely not bad. Well, one of them is, but it's not Electabuzz. I quite like him. I like him decent enough, I guess. I don't know, there's something about the way his head is shaped that's always just been weird to me. But beyond that, he's a cool little guy. Can't hate. And then Magmar, of course. Butt face. Or more like butt forehead. So, I've never rocked with his design, but it's not that bad. What is this melody? What is that melody? It's going kind of crazy. And then Pinsir. I love Pinsir. He kind of gets overshadowed by Heracross as being like the stag beetle, but he's still really cool to me. You know, he's the one that has absolutely no chill. Heracross is a nonchalant guy. Pinsir is very chalant, but in his chalantness, he kind of makes it nonchalant in a weird, roundabout kind of way. You know what I mean? I know you do. And all real gamers know what I mean. Know what I'm saying. They're picking up what I'm putting down. I'm gonna put him above Charmander. That's gonna be crazy right there, is putting him above Charmander, but whatever. Tauros. Tauros is another Pokemon where it's just like, this sure is a bull. Cool, I guess. You know, I'll put him above Raticate, because I guess I like bulls better than rats. And then Palladian Tauros, at the very least, has it going for him where he can be like multiple types. I think he can be fighting fire and water. Hold on, let me double check that. Palladian Tauros. Let me double check. Yeah, fighting fire or water. Oh, he's fighting in all of them? Okay. Let me look up all that. So yeah, I think that's cool, where it's like now he's multiple breeds of Tauros, and they're evolved to do different things. I think that's a very interesting way to take the direction of like a bull Pokemon. So therefore, I will throw him. Yeah, right there. That is where I will throw Palladian Tauros. Magikarp. Now, time. Magikarp. Magikarp's just funny. I mean, what can you say? I think Magikarp has long since ceased to be the weakest Pokemon in terms of like stats. I don't even know if Magikarp was the weakest Pokemon in this game, if I'm being for real. I couldn't tell you though because I don't memorize stats because I'm not a nerd. But he's a chill guy. I like him. I like him a lot, enough to be an A+. What is this melody, bro? What is this majestic melody? This has gotta be from like Scarlet Violet or something, right? Because this sounds like a Toby Fox thing. So, anyways, Magikarp, what was it at? And then, because Magikarp is supposed to be like represent, I can't remember what the name of the myth is, but the myth is that a fish jumps over a waterfall and then becomes a dragon. And the dragon's awesome. Like, everyone, Gyarados is glazed for a reason. There is a reason everyone and their mother glazes Gyarados and says is one of the best to ever do it. It's because he is. It's because he just is. Gyarados is the GOAT. And pretty much every generation after Gen 1 try to copy Gyarados in some way. Like, let me look. I don't know if Gen 2 does. But, well, maybe Gen 2 does. Hold on. I'm looking through Gen 2 a little bit. No, Gen 2 does not. Gen 3 does with Milotic. Gen 4, I think Gen 4 does, right? Gen 4 may not either. I don't think Gen 4 does. Gen 5 definitely does. I'm not even gonna fact check myself. Gen 5 copies a lot from Gen 1. I don't know. I'll tell you. Stay on track. Stay on track. But yeah, there's a reason Gyarados is considered one of the greats. It's because Gyarados is one of the greats. Then Lapras. What I really like about Lapras is that Lapras has kind of gone on this arc over the years where in the first game Lapras has started off as endangered, but now all the Lapras population is returning. They're coming back. We love Lapras again. You're coming back, and I like to think it's because of like it's kind of like how Lapras is a popular Pokemon in real life. Therefore, we as the real people through Lapras's popularity in real life have affected the Lapras population in the game, which I don't know is just interesting to me. So I quite like Lapras, and of course Lapras is also like the Pokemon that Ash and friends traveled around with in Indigo League and stuff like that. So Lapras right there. Then Ditto Ditto's just a silly little creature. Yeah. Ditto's just a silly little creature. I love the Ditto episode in the anime where the Ditto can't transform properly. The horrifying live action Ditto, of course, and of course this may not even be a theory, this may be confirmed, but I'm pretty sure it's just a theory where the Dittos are the failed Mew clones. So I like Ditto. You know, he's a silly guy, and of course, you know, shiny hunting, all of that. So he's just cool. Eevee. Would I be hated if I said Eevee never really, like, tickled my fancy that much? Like... Oh, yeah. Eevee tickles my fancy a little bit more than Pikachu, but Eevee never really, like, did it for me. Again, it's kind of just like I've never been into, like, Pokemon that are just cute. I'm an edgy son of a bitch. I like the cool Pokemon. I can't like the cute Pokemon. I like the cool Pokemon. And Eevee's just, you know, it's a cute Pokemon. So it never really did it for me. And I think the gimmick of having like a billion alternate evolutions is cool, but I feel like that's more props towards the evolutions than Eevee itself, you know? But I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. Hey guys, did you know? I hate it. I hate you all. I hate Pokemon fans. Because Vaporeon is, at least of the first 3, Vaporeon's the best evolution. But I hate Pokemon fans. Anyways, Vaporeon's going into A. There. Then Jolteon's alright. I feel like they could have done more with like an electric type evolution than just make it spiky. But whatever. And then Flareon. I think Flareon's pretty easily the worst evolution, because it's just like, it's just Eevee, but red. So, honestly, I'll put it below Eevee, because it's just Eevee, but red. And it has like a little white, a tuft of hair that kind of looks like fire. Cool, I guess. At least Jolteon and Vaporeon look different. But it is kind of interesting looking back at the original 3, because it's like the original 3 very clearly are meant to keep more Eevee features intact. Like, they all have the long ears, and they all have like the collar. And then as you go into like the other evolutions, like Espeon and Umbreon, they don't really keep the collar is what they don't keep at all. And then Espeon kind of like looks more like a cat, and Umbreon, I guess Umbreon keeps more than Espeon. And then where's the Gen 4 ones? So I can demonstrate even further. Where are they? What the heck? There they are. Then like Leafeon obviously becomes more leafy, and Glaceon becomes spikier to kind of be the ice. Where's Sylveon? Sylveon's probably the one that strays the farthest from like the Eevee design tropes, because all the ribbons and everything. Where is he? Sylveon, what the heck? I'm in Gen 7. Bro, Gen 6 has no Pokemon. Where are the Pokemon, bro? Yeah. it's probably the one that strays the farthest from the EV tropes because of the ribbons and all that. So it's just kind of interesting how like these ones look more like Eevee than the later Eevee illusions. It's just interesting. Porygon, the guy who caused 1 million seizures in Japanese children. Porygon, I still like Porygon, but he doesn't do it for me quite like his evolutions do. I think Porygon 2 and Porygon Z are a lot cooler. Lord Helix! I mean, you gotta love Lord Helix, right? That's a classic. Twitch plays Pokemon, absolute classic. Yeah, and then I really like Amistar too. Kind of making Ammonite a lot more like monstrous and octopus-like, giving him all the extra tentacles and the beak and the slitted eyes. It makes him a lot more monstrous, which is, I think, a very cool way to do it. And then Kabuto, a horseshoe crab, but also like a buzzy beetle from Super Mario, so that's cool, I suppose. I'll put him here. And then Kabutops. Kabutops is another one I just love. I love Kabutops. I think it's like so. He's another one that's in my fighting game concept. And it's so interesting to like imagine how he moves. It's similar with Scyther, right? Where I don't know. I'm just an edgy son of a bitch. Having scythes on the arms is just sick. It's just a sick design choice. Then Aerodactyl. You know, you can't really go wrong with like a Pterodon or a Pterodactyl. I guess it's supposed to be more of a Pterodactyl than a Pterodon. I'll put him above Charizard just for the slander. And Snorlax. Snorlax is another Pokemon that's in like everything, you know. He's one of the mascots of the series. But I think he's really cool, you know. He's just this fat dude who's always in the way and is always sleeping and always eating, except when he comes out of hibernation and he like fucks your shit up and then goes back to sleep. You know, he's a hibernating bear. It's a cool concept. And then let me. On this is temporary, so I can find him again. Guide Snorlax is based off of, because there's a Game Freak employee that is, whose design is, there he is. He is who Snorlax is directly based off of, which is kind of really funny, but at the same time, it's like, man, imagine your coworkers just say, "Hey man, we based this new monster off of you. Want to come look?" And you come over and it's just this fat bear. It's like, what the hell, guys? Why'd you do that to me? but it's pretty funny. So honestly, you know what? I'm gonna leave Snorlax there. I think that's a good spot. Nah. He deserves to be higher than Weepin' Bell. Higher than Kingler, though. I fuck with Snorlax. Now for the legendary birds. We're in the end game now, boyos. Articuno. Articuno is probably my favorite of the original three. It's very majestic, and I like how the sleek design of it. Probably there. Then, Galarian Articuno. I think Galarian Articuno is the only Galarian form that I think is like a real downgrade from the original. Having the Psychic type is cool and all, and I like it in concept. I just wish it did. I just wish it went in a little bit more of a different direction, because as it is, it's just kind of purple Articuno. So I'm gonna put it here, because it's still Articuno at the end of the day. And Zapdos, I think Zapdos, alternatively, is the worst of the original three in my opinion. It's just kind of a similar problem I have with Jolteon. It's just a spiky bird. Like, okay, cool, I guess. I don't know. I'll put it below. And then Galarian Zapdos, I think was a big improvement. Because it's still just a spiky bird. But now it's a spiky bird that runs fast, and I don't know, that's cool. I like it running fast. I'm gonna throw it here. Then Moltres. Moltres is decent. It's probably my favorite one to use in TCG Pocket, if that's anything worthwhile, I guess. But again, kind of like Zapdos, it's just a bird on fire. But that's pretty cool. So, you know, I'll put it above Rapidash, because bird on fire cooler than horse on fire. I don't make the rules. But Galarian Moltres is awesome sauce. You can make the argument that what I said about Articuno, where it's just, oh, Articuno but purple, this is just Moltres but black and red. But have you considered black and red is an absolutely goated color combination? Like, did you at all consider that? Like, Galarian Moltres is awesome, dude. So, Galarian Moltres will go there. Now, Dratini. I think right here. Dratini's another just kind of, it sure is a very cute starter one. And Dragonair. Dragonair is a very, like, sleek and elegant design. In many ways reminds me of Milotic, which I also quite like Milotic. So, I'm gonna put it there. And Dragonite. Now, I will criticize Dragonite and say, man, this Pokemon really does not feel like an evolution of Dragonair. That being said, Dragonite's still awesome. He's just a friendly little dragon. He looks like he'd fit in, or I wouldn't put him that high. I'll put him here. He looks like he'd fit in a Yoshi game, you know? Like, he looks like he'd be a guy you meet in a Yoshi game. And that's cool. Mewtwo. Mewtwo's another one that's just in everything. And Mewtwo deserves to be in everything, you know? He's cool. Like, he is the original antagonist Pokemon, I suppose, because the original antagonist was Giovanni. But the original, like, final boss Pokemon, the original Pokemon that felt, like, truly legendary, because, you know, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, they're legendary, but they're not, like, legendary like Mewtwo is. They're legendary like Arcanine is. And Mewtwo's just dope, you know? He's just got infinite aura. He's always aura farming, and the farming worked. Then finally, Mew, a Pokemon that should have been given the Fairy type when the Fairy type came out. That being said, I find Mew to just be alright, really. Mewtwo may be a genetic abomination that should not have been created, but at the very least it has more aura than Mew. Yeah. So there you go. That is every Gen 1 Pokemon ranked. And for the record, as we go further and further into this, the tiers are going to become less and less ordered. So really just the tiers that are like really going to be ordered are the top two and the bottom two. Those are the ones where the order is like really going to matter. All the ones in the middle, it's like you can make an argument to swap them around, and I'd be fine with that. So, yeah. Or, that's the wrong thing. But there you have it. Every single Gen 1 Pokemon ranked. Be ready next week on the 24th for every Gen 2. Be ready next week on the 23rd for Donkey Kong. Both are happening. Both are happening. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't know. I don't have any other like major streams planned. I may go back to Persona 4 Arena tomorrow, although I might not, because that was kind of boring. I may go back to Dave the Diver as well, because I've been fiending. I need more Dave. I need more Dave in my life. So, there you have it. Don't think I got anything left. Later, Gators.